Hey guys, we get to talk about marketing. And marketing is really just putting yourself out there. I know you've worked hard on your business. I know that you've had your idea and you've built a real business out of it. And now it's time to tell the world about it. And that's what marketing is. It's just putting yourself out there. And at the core, marketing is really just great communication. One of the most frustrating parts about great communication, though, is when you have an idea and something you want to say and you don't know how to say it. Now, I know this is really cliche, but I experience this every time I have a problem with my car. I know it's very typical that a woman would go to a car shop and be intimidated and not know what to say, but that's me every single time if I'm honest. I take my car to the shop, I walk up, and instead of using words to communicate the problem, because I don't know technically what's going on with my car, all I can do are make noises. I say, well, it goes bumpity, bumpity, bump, scratch, and then you hear a real loud grinding noise, right? And so, of course, all of the car shop guys are just highly entertained by this and make me do it several times just for their entertainment. But it's frustrating. I want to tell them that I have a problem with my car, and I don't know how to communicate that. I don't have the right words to use, and I don't know what to say in order to say it to the people that actually care. And that's frustrating in your business too. When you have something great to offer the marketplace and to your customers, you know you can solve their problems. You know it's going to bring value to them, but you're not sure how to talk about it. You're not sure how to use language that they will understand and care about. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to market your business in a way that is comfortable for you, that is authentic to you and your brand and who you are as a person. And it's going to give you some practical tips to implement that makes it a lot less effort. But in order to have great marketing for your business, you need to know a few things. The first thing you need to know is who you are. What is your business about? What do you love about the value that you offer the marketplace? You need to be very self-aware about yourself and the business in order to be able to talk about it. The second thing you want to know is who are your customers? Because I promise you this, it's not everyone. You're going to want to identify the right people that care about your business and they care about your product or service. And you want to go talk to them and them only. The third thing that you want to know is how to talk to them. What language do they use? What do they relate to? What do they care about? And you start to speak that language to them in order to be effective. And the last thing you want to think about is, where are they? Where are they hanging out? You want to go find where they are so you can talk to them in that place. If you can identify what those 4 things are, it's going to help you be much more effective in your marketing and in your business. And then you're not so frustrated like I am every time I go to the car shop, trying to say something and not knowing how to say it. It's simply starting there and understanding those aspects in order to be able to say what you want to say and who you want to say it to. All right, so let's dive right in. The first thing we're going to talk about is your branding. Your branding is a reflection of who you are. So you want to think about this. It's more than just a color scheme and graphics. This kind of reflects your core values. So think about what you stand for. What are you about? And what are you not about? Your branding is going to help you communicate everything about who you are to the market and to your customer. So think about this. Target and Walmart. Now, you may have feelings about either one, and that's fine. But Target values a positive shopping experience, right? When you go in, everything is beautiful and designed. It's a very positive shopping experience. But you're going to pay more. Now, think about Walmart. Walmart values low prices. So when you go in the store, you're going to get low prices. When you brand yourself in the mind of the customer, you're going to attract the right customers. So Target customers will only likely go to Target and they would be appalled at shopping at Walmart. But Walmart customers, if they go in Target and look at the price tag, they're probably going to be disappointed. So when you think about your core values and what you represent and who you are and what you want your business to be about, it helps you think about your branding. Now, your branding is more than graphics. You want to think about the look, tone, and feel of everything about you and your company. And it's more than just color schemes, like I said. It even represents the experience that people have when they interact with you, when they interact with that logo or color scheme as well. So ask yourself this question. What do you want your customers to see, feel, and experience when they interact with you? And you want to be incredibly consistent. Think about Starbucks. Every time you go in Starbucks, anywhere in the country, you have a consistent experience. So much so, in fact, there was a book written about Starbucks called The Starbucks Experience. It's consistent. That represents their brand. It's not just their logo on the side of the cups or on the front of the store. It's everything about who they are as a company and what you get when you walk into a store. So you want to think about that for your business. Because the truth is this: every interaction you have with a customer is an opportunity to brand something about yourself and your business in their mind. So there's a few things you want to keep in mind in your branding. You want your branding to be positive. It always needs to have the positive angle of what you're about. You want to put that best foot forward. This is your highlight reel. It also needs to be consistent. Just like Target or Walmart or Starbucks, you want your customers to have a consistent experience every time that they interact with you. That's going to build your reputation and make it very easy for referrals, because people can talk about who you are and what kind of experience they can expect from you every single time. And the reality is, your branding needs to be very true to you. Think of it this way. In what world would you ever want to put a sticker on the back of your car, your very expensive vehicle, of what kind of computer you have? But then how many times are you driving down the road and you see cars with the Apple sticker on the back of their vehicle? That's because people want to associate themselves with the Apple brand. There are people that identify with everything that Apple represents, and they want to be associated with that. Now, I know that Apple is a huge company, but the same is true in your business as well. Your customers need to know what you're about so that they can identify with you and be about that too. And believe it or not, this actually also affects other decisions in your business. If people don't buy a product or service, they buy an identity, then that helps you really take a hard look at your pricing. One of the challenges I see with businesses all of the time is that they want to be the cheapest. They think the best way to get customers is to price their products cheaper than the competition. Now, we're not going to get into pricing and everything about business finances in this session, but you need to think about that. If you're the cheapest, what identity are you selling? What are you branding yourself in the marketplace and in the mind of the customer? Understanding your branding helps you think about a lot more than just the look, tone, and feel, the colors you choose, or the logo that you create. It's important for you to know yourself so you can communicate what that is through your branding to have the most effective marketing possible. Now, if branding is who you are, your target market is who your customers are. And I'm going to go ahead and start out with something you need to know that's very important. Your target market is not everyone. You are not trying to sell to everyone on the planet. And I see that more in business than anything else. We try this shotgun approach to marketing, right? Where we're just going to try to hope that we communicate everything we have to everyone on the planet and someone will like what we have to offer. But that's not who your target market is. Your target market is one type of person. Now, of course, you'll get some people on the fringes and that may vary a little bit from the exact person you identify. But you want to start out by just thinking, who is your ideal customer? It is going to be one type of person that wants what you have to offer, and they're willing and able to pay the price you list. One of the most frustrating things in business is trying to be someone that you're not in order to get that customer, or trying to price your products a certain level in order to try to get that other customer. You don't have to do that. You don't have to change who you are and what your business is about. You don't have to change your branding. You don't have to change your marketing. You don't have to change your pricing in order to get everyone, because you can't be everything to everyone. Instead, be who you are, and you will naturally attract the right people. When you get your branding on point, you will start to be able to attract the right people that are totally in line with what you're about. Now, important thing that you need to think about is not only is your target market one type of person that is willing and able to pay the price that you list, and they want what you have to offer, but you have to keep something in mind. Your target market is not necessarily your friends. Here's what I see all the time. Let's say, for example, that you have a craft business and you launched it on Etsy and now you have your own website. And what you do is you post all of your products and all of your specials on social media. You make, let's say, handmade dresses, okay? You love making children's clothes and they're really cute, customized, unique, and different boutique type of clothing. So you post it on social media. And naturally, the people that follow you on social media are your friends, right? You start with the lowest hanging fruit. You start with your circle and your network. But here's the problem. If your friends are like you, then they're probably not your target market. Because let's look at it this way. Let's say that you are crafty because you make clothes. You're cost conscious because you probably got started by doing it yourself and making clothes for your own family. And you're a do-it-yourselfer. Your friends, if they're like you, then they're crafty. They're cost conscious and they're do-it-yourselfers. They're not going to want to pay the price that you need to list in order to make a profit on that dress. Instead, what are they going to want? They're going to want it for free, or they're going to want your pattern because they can do it themselves also, right? So let's think about who your target market, who your ideal customer might be instead. It might be, honestly, someone like me. Let's say you make children's clothes and you make unique custom clothes for kids. Your target market or your ideal customer might be a mom that has the income to pay the price you list in order for you to make a profit. She's not a do-it-yourselfer because she doesn't have the time, but she cares deeply about what her child wears. She wants them to be in unique clothing and something different that you can't buy off the rack. That's your ideal customer. That's the type of person that you go after because you have what they want and they're willing to pay the price that you list. But if you already have a business and you already have a history of having clients, then you want to actually do research on who they are. Who's buying from you currently that you can learn from? What common traits do they have that you can actually start to leverage that to market to those type of people more often? I'll give you an example that I experienced in college. I was an advertising major in college, so I learned all about everything from research to media buying and selling and definitely target markets. And so for the last class that we take, senior year of college, in order to make our big presentation before the board, is called a campaigns class. And what happens in this class is everything you've learned in college from all of the different aspects of advertising, you put into practice to actually build a campaign and compete for the client. Now, in this situation, the client is this board of directors that you have to present in front of, but your group is competing against all the other groups. And at the end of the year, there's one winner that actually gets the account. Every other group in the class had 6 people, and so we were already kind of the underdogs. And then for some reason, one assignment after another, the whole first few months of that semester, we just kept falling behind. But what's interesting is that at the beginning of the semester, the board assigns the entire classroom a certain company that they have to build the account around. Now, in our case, our entire class was competing to build a campaign for the Smart Car 4.2. Now, the Smart Car has since come to the United States, but at this time, when I was in college, the Smart Car was only available in Europe. So we're building a campaign around a product that's not even available in our country. So you can imagine it was a struggle. Doing research was even more of a struggle. We were in Knoxville, Tennessee, because I went to the University of Tennessee. So everyone in Knoxville drove big trucks. They weren't interested in a tiny little economical car that had great gas mileage. So our research stage was very, very frustrating. The research sets the tone for your entire campaign. It helps determine your target market, how to talk to them, and what your entire advertising campaign should be about. But in our case, every time we did research, whether we did focus groups or interviews or surveys, everyone hated the car. We couldn't find a single person that liked this car that we could build a campaign around. And I knew that we could do better than we were doing. So I did what I always do when I hit a wall, and I just honestly prayed about it. I prayed that God would open some kind of door and give us some kind of solution for this huge problem we were facing. Well, here's what happened next, and it's really cool. The very next day, our entire group went to the library and we were doing research trying to find some more information about this smart car that is available in Europe and not even available. We've never even seen one in person. And I came across in my Google search a petition to bring the smart car to the United States. It was signed by over 500 people that loved this car so much they went online to give their name, city and state, and plead a case for bringing this car to the US. This was gold. This was our target market. It was people that wanted this product finally. Well, initially, we were scared if we could even use it. We knew we were onto something great, but we weren't sure if our teacher would let us use something outside of Knoxville because we thought maybe you have to do research only in Knoxville. So we got permission from her and actually pursued this petition. We split up the whole list between all 5 of us, and each of us took 100 names and stalked them on the internet to find their phone number. We called them, asked permission to give an interview to them, and asked them for a survey, and many of them responded. And guys, after we conducted the survey with hundreds of people that love this car so much they signed a petition, our campaign was done. It was amazing to see what they loved, what they wanted, the language they used, and what they said about it. Everything became so clear to us in that moment. They loved the car because it made sense. They loved it because it was economical, because it had great gas mileage, because it would be easy to park. Everything about it was practical. Their mindset was very practical, and it was a certain type of person that wanted that product and was willing to pay the price that it was listed at. So we built our entire campaign around that. We knew we were onto something really good, so we were really careful about not sharing that with anyone else because we were hoping we were the only people that found that petition. So at the end of the semester, after we finished every other aspect of our campaign, including the portfolio and the media buying schedule and everything else that went into it, we presented before a board in an entire auditorium of our classmates. We went up, we were one of the second or third groups, and then by the end, after sitting there watching every other group present, we knew we were the only ones that had that petition. Everyone else had conducted their research only in Knoxville and based their entire campaign around one sad soul that said they maybe might like it one day and maybe would drive it. Our campaign was strong because it was built on strong research. And at the end of all of the presentations, when the president of the advertising division at the University of Tennessee stood up, he announced that the Party of Five, my little underdog group, was the winner of the account. And I can tell you guys, years later, now working in business and helping people with business, that principle is still true. Advertising is not about the catchiest slogans. It's not about the most beautiful graphics. It's not about having the most perfect website. It's about having the best research. It's knowing your target market. Who is that person that wants what you have to offer and they're willing to pay the price that you list? When you know who they are, when you take the time to research them and understand them, understand their motivations and their fears, the language they use and what they relate to, when you get to know them, everything else becomes so much easier and more effortless. When you take the time to learn about your target market, it will save you time, money, and frustration. It's a little bit of work on the front end to do the research to get to know them, but if you're already in business and have clients, there's no reason you can't reach out to them, ask them a few questions, and get to know them more so that you can reach more people like them and build your business. All right, so we've covered branding. We've covered how to identify what your target market is. Now we also need to talk about something else. We need to understand what is your unique position. Your unique position is what makes you unique. It's what makes you stand out among all of the competition and helps people know why they should buy from you versus someone else. And here's what's interesting. Your unique position may be really practical in terms of some value you offer, some problem that you solve, or some need that you fill, or it may just be something as simple as your story. So here's two examples. One unique position is actually from my friend Lauren Beeman that I went to college with. Lauren is a beautiful artist and she has incredible paintings and watercolors. She does graphics and everything's customized so you could have something printed for your nursery. But here's what's interesting. Lauren's handwriting is beautiful. It looks like some exquisite font that you would get on some amazing computer. That is her unique position. So whenever I want to get something handmade for my nursery, or if I want to have a really interesting gift for a friend, I go to Lauren. I can tell her exactly what verse or quote or scripture that I want, and she can paint it for me, handmade, in her wonderful, beautiful handwriting. That's Lauren's unique position and something she can leverage in all of her marketing because she knows that is something that makes her stand out among the competition and everything else that's computer generated because hers are handmade and they're beautiful. Another example is a woman, Angela, that I met several months ago whenever I was traveling with the Entree Leadership Team. Every time I travel to a city to speak, I like to put out a notification on Facebook to let people know I'll be in that city and would love to do a very informal coffee meetup, do some coaching sessions in a group and that kind of thing. So as we're sitting in this coffee shop, I'm talking to all of the women about their business and their story and what challenges they're facing. And this woman, Angela, told me about her business and it was incredibly unique. She actually makes handmade jewelry for Etsy. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are millions of people that make handmade jewelry on Etsy, so what made her special? Well, in Angela's case, what made her special was simply her story. Her story was actually inspired by her mom, because growing up, Angela told me that her mom would give her jewelry on a regular basis. Now, it wasn't expensive or fancy or flashy. It was just simple twine and beads. But every time her mother would give her a piece of jewelry, she would speak a truth about her as a young woman. She would give her a bracelet and say, Angela, this represents your beauty. And every time you look at it, I want you to remember that you're lovely. So even if a boy's being mean to you, even if you're having a bad day and don't like your outfit, even if your face is breaking out, I want you to look at this bracelet and remember that you are lovely. You are beautiful and nothing can ever change that. She gave me another example of how her mother gave her a necklace and said, Angela, this represents your mind. You're brilliant. You're very, very intelligent. You are a smart woman and you have something to say and offer in our world. So whenever people may get you down or you may feel silly for asking a question, I want you to look at this necklace and remember that you are smart and you have something to offer the world. As Angela was telling me her story, it made me want to log onto Etsy right then and buy something. What a beautiful example of a legacy and tradition that her mother left to her. And now Angela has taken that story and that incredible legacy and she's actually created a business so that other people can do the same. So she sells handmade jewelry that has significance to it, and she offers it for women to pass down to their children and do the same thing that her mother did for her. Now, your unique position may be as practical as your handwriting, like my friend Lauren, or it may be as sentimental and special and revolve around your story somehow, like Angela's example. The important thing is that you know what it is. Because when you know what it is, you can actually communicate that to your customers, and then they know why they should buy from you versus someone else. Okay, so we have covered your branding, which is who you are. We've covered your target market, and that's who your customer is. We've covered your unique position, what makes you stand out. And now the last thing we're going to cover is the elevator pitch. So your elevator pitch is actually how you talk about your business to your customers. And here's the key. You need to be able to say in 2 sentences or less, or the length of an elevator ride, what your business does. And believe it or not, this is really hard. It's even hard for me. One of the things that we like to do is we like to elaborate. When someone asks me what I do, I go on and on about all the different types of events and speaking and writing and on about what the Business Boutique is and does. And it's challenging to narrow that down to just 2 sentences. And more often than not, what we like to do is we like to talk a whole lot about the features of our business. We talk about all the bells and whistles and all the different aspects of our product or service. And we miss something very important. We miss what the customer actually cares about. Because guess what? They don't care about your business. They don't care about the bells, the whistles, the features, the new things you've upgraded. They really don't care. What they care about is what's in it for me. So everything about you talking about your business should answer the question, what's in it for me? Because that's what your customer is thinking and that's what they're asking. So when talking about your business, you want to focus on the benefit to the customer, not the features of the business. And those aren't the same thing. Let's say, for example, that you have a business that is a ferry boat. Okay, let's pretend that you are stationed in Florida and you have this ferry boat service where you are going to take people from Florida on the coast all the way to this beautiful, magical, awesome island. So what happens is, when you're talking about your business, your ferry boat business, by the way, when you're talking about this to your customer or someone who may be interested in what your business does, you talk all about the boat. We just upgraded to a 7,000 horsepower engine. I don't know if that's a real thing, but let's just go with it, okay? You got a nice engine, you got leather seats, and you serve free Cokes, and the captain's really nice, and you got a beautiful view, and you play music, and it's a really awesome ferry boat. But here's the reality. No one cares about your ferry boat. No one cares about the leather seats or the engine or the Cokes or the captain. They don't care about your ferry boat. What they care about is what it's going to do for them. So instead of talking about the ferry boat, you talk about the island. When someone says, what does your business do? You paint this beautiful picture of this island. Oh, there's this island. It's incredible. It's amazing. You've got white sandy beaches for as far as you can see. It's very remote. It doesn't have a lot of tourists. You've got people, these good-looking tan men that will bring you drinks with little umbrellas in them. Everyone is so nice. It's this amazing island where you can just get away and relax. And so your customer says, that island sounds amazing. How do I get there? And you say, I just so happen to have a ferry boat. Right? That's the difference. You don't talk about your leather seats in your business. You talk about the white sandy beaches and the island. You talk about what the customer cares about. You talk about the benefit to the customer, not the features of your business. So I'll give you an example you're probably familiar with. The Business Boutique tagline is, equipping women to make money doing what they love. It's not about who we are and all the things that we do and the features of the Business Boutique. We could go on for days about all the ways that we have events and videos and coaching. We have a lot of things that the Business Boutique offers. We have a lot of features of the Business Boutique, but we don't talk about that. We talk about what we do for you. We want to help you make money doing what you love. So what's your elevator pitch? It may take you a few times to practice, and you can draft up several different options. One of the great things is once you have a few options, you can actually test those out. Try it out in real conversations with people. Try it out with your family or your friends. The more that you practice it, the easier it will be to identify which one is right, which wording sounds perfect, which one really has that punch that communicates what you're trying to say to your customers. So write down your elevator pitch, and remember, here are the rules. It needs to be 2 sentences or less. And it needs to focus on the benefit to the customer, not the features of the business. When you write your elevator pitch, you are on the first steps of being able to communicate the language of what your business is about that your customer actually cares about. All right, guys, so we have covered a lot. We've covered your branding and who you are, your target market and who your customer is, your unique position and what sets you apart from the competition, and we've also covered your elevator pitch and how to talk about your business in a succinct way to your customers or someone else that may just be interested in your business. We've covered a lot of things, but these are the marketing basics that you can't afford to miss. And if you can get these things, everything else will be much more simple. All of these things are going to help you have the language to use to put yourself out there and be able to promote your business in a way that is true to you. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Country Music Awards where Chris Stapleton actually performed with Justin Timberlake. What was so incredible about this performance was not that Chris Stapleton and Justin Timberlake did a duet. It was that after that one night, after that one event, no one could stop talking about Chris Stapleton. People said things like, where did this guy come from? He's incredible. He's so talented. I can't wait to buy his album. Immediately, Chris Stapleton had concerts that were sold out for months in advance. And people wanted to know where Chris Stapleton came from. The truth is, Chris Stapleton had been around forever. He's been around for decades and he's always been talented. But you know what? No one knew about him until he was put on the map with Justin Timberlake at the Country Music Awards. And believe it or not, the same is true in your business. Because it doesn't matter how great you are. It doesn't matter how valuable your product or service is. It doesn't matter how helpful your business will be to your customers. Because if people don't know about you, you can't help them or grow your business. I know marketing can be frustrating. I know it can be frustrating to want to talk about your business and not know how. It's just like whenever I go to the car shop and I don't know what to say to explain what's wrong with my car. But if you guys can know and understand and implement these 4 basics that we've talked about in this session, you're not only going to be able to talk about your business in a much more confident way, you're going to have a lot more fun and, more importantly, be more successful. Okay guys, so that wraps the marketing basics that you need to know. Now, for you to be able to implement this and actually put it into practice, I've got a homework assignment for you and a challenge. Your homework for this week is for you to research and get to know your target market. Now, if you're just starting out in business and you're not sure who that may be, then I want you to identify who's your ideal customer. Write out some qualities about them of why they would like your business and be able to pay the price that you charge. Now, if you have a business and you already have a client base, then your homework is for you to research them, survey them, ask them some questions about why they like your business and why it works for them. That's going to help you get to know them and understand them in order to reach more people like them. That's your homework for this week. Now, you also have a challenge. I want you to get involved and keep the conversation going where I can hear progress on how you're doing, and it helps you practice. So here's your challenge. I want you to tweet or post on social media your elevator pitch with the hashtag Business Boutique. What this is going to do is it's going to make you practice it and allow people to give you feedback on how effective it is. So go into social media and tweet or post your elevator pitch with hashtag Business Boutique. And that will allow me to give you feedback and encouragement as well.